Welcome back to the channel where rare coins, unexpected treasures, and numismatic marvels unfold like never before. And if you're someone who dreams of stumbling across a seemingly ordinary coin that turns out to be worth millions, then you're going to want to stay with us today because we are about to dive into the astonishing story of the 1996 D. Jefferson 5-cent piece, a coin that shocked collectors and investors alike by commanding an unimaginable value of $175 million due to a combination of extreme minting errors, historical quirks, and numismatic anomalies so unique that they've catapulted this humble nickel into the stratosphere of the rarest and most valuable coins ever recorded in modern US minting history. And the journey of how this particular 5-cent coin went from ordinary pocket change to a jaw-dropping fortune is nothing short of numismatic legend, capturing the attention of seasoned collectors, financial experts, historians, and even casual hobbyists around the globe, all eager to understand how a coin with a face value of just 5 cents could possibly ascend to a value that surpasses high-end real estate, luxury yachts, and even the GDP of some small nations. And to truly grasp what makes the 1996 D 5-cent coin so incredibly valuable, we need to explore not just the errors it possesses, but the historical circumstances surrounding its production, the mechanical failures and human oversights that led to its creation, and the deep significance of the anomalies that were accidentally minted into its surface, each flaw a testament to the incredible rarity and once-in-a-lifetime nature of this coin, which was born out of a perfect storm of numismatic chaos and unrepeatable events that created a masterpiece of minting misfortune that, paradoxically, turned into minting magic, because in the world of coin collecting, it's the mistakes, the unintended accidents, the rare deviations from perfection, that make a coin truly priceless, and the 1996 D nickel stands as a monument to that rule, beginning with the Denver Mint, which in 1996 was processing hundreds of millions of coins per year, including a massive run of Jefferson nickels, but during one particular minting session, a sequence of cascading failures occurred, starting with the improper preparation of the planches, the blank metal discs that are later stamped into coins, and in this instance, some planches were discovered to have been improperly alloyed, containing trace amounts of silver and copper contaminants from outdated machinery that hadn't been properly cleaned or calibrated, resulting in a handful of planches that did not match the standard 75% copper, 25% nickel alloy that defines Jefferson nickels. And this metallurgical deviation caused striking irregularities when the planches were fed into the coining press, producing coins with unusual tones, lusters, and even weights. And among these aberrant planches, one was significantly affected, resulting in a nickel that bore a darker, almost rainbow-like tone due to the accidental introduction of foreign metals, giving it a distinct visual appearance that immediately stood out to the trained eye of an experienced coin grader. But this was just the beginning, because what truly sets this coin apart is the staggering list of mint errors it possesses, beginning with a double strike error where the coin was struck once, ejected improperly, and then struck again off-center, creating a doubled image that overlaps and shadows itself in dramatic fashion, a clear sign of mechanical malfunction in the striking process. And to compound the rarity, the die used to strike the obverse of this coin, the side featuring the portrait of Thomas Jefferson, was later determined to have been in a deteriorated state, producing what is known as a die clash, where the obverse and reverse dies come into contact without a planchet between them, transferring design elements from one die to the other and subsequently imprinting ghost-like images of the Monticello building onto Jefferson's face, creating an eerie, distorted profile that is both artistically fascinating and numismatically significant. And upon close inspection, one can see remnants of Monticello's columns on Jefferson's cheek and forehead, a surreal and haunting reminder of the minting disaster that produced this coin. But the error parade does not stop there, because the reverse die, the side with the depiction of Monticello, was not only misaligned but also subjected to overpolishing, a process used to remove die marks or prepare the die for extended use. And in this instance, The overpolishing was so excessive that key design elements including the word Monticello and portions of the building's architectural detail were partially or completely removed, leaving behind a ghost-like shell of the intended image, further enhancing the mystique and rarity of this particular coin, and when combined with the fact that this same coin features an extreme die rotation error of over 165 degrees, meaning the obverse and reverse images are drastically misaligned when flipped, we start to understand just how unique this coin truly is, because rotational errors of this magnitude are exceptionally rare and typically result in very small batches before mint personnel notice and correct the issue. But somehow this particular coin managed to pass through every level of quality control, likely due to the sheer volume of coins being processed that day at the Denver Mint and the pressures of high-speed mass production. And as if these anomalies weren't enough, a final and truly bizarre error emerged upon microscopic examination, revealing a partial brokerage on the rim of the coin, caused by a previously struck coin becoming jammed between the dies and imprinting a reversed mirror image of itself onto the edge of the new coin, resulting in a ghostly, curved imprint of a previous strike embedded into the surface, creating an entirely unique hybrid error that has only been documented in a handful of known cases throughout minting history, and experts believe that the combination of all these factors, off-metal composition, double strike, die clash, die rotation, over-polishing, partial brokerage, and die deterioration, make this coin not only unique, but unrepeatable. A once-in-history convergence of catastrophic minting failures that transformed an otherwise ordinary 1996 D nickel into the holy grail of error coins, a true unicorn in the world of numismatics, and what elevates its value to the astounding $175 million mark is not only the nature of its minting anomalies but also the attention it has received from major auction houses, numismatic societies, and museum curators who have all verified its authenticity and confirmed that no other known specimen exhibits the exact same set of errors, meaning this coin is truly one of a kind, a singular artifact that encapsulates a moment of unprecedented minting mayhem and has become the centerpiece of elite coin collections and global exhibits, with its journey from discovery to fame chronicled in numerous publications, documentaries, and collector journals, all emphasizing the sheer improbability of its existence and the fascination it continues to inspire among coin enthusiasts, historians, and financial investors alike. And there's even more to the story when you consider the socio-political context of 1996, a year marked by major changes in U.S. minting strategy, shifts in metal sourcing, and economic transitions that put additional strain on the U.S. mint's infrastructure, making errors more likely as aging machinery struggled to keep pace with production quotas, and these systemic stresses contributed to a wider range of minting inconsistencies during the mid-90s, but none as dramatic or as legendary as the 1996 D5-cent piece in question. And while countless nickels were minted that year, only one has been authenticated with this perfect storm of errors, and its path from unnoticed pocket change to million-dollar marvel began when it was discovered by a sharp-eyed coin roll hunter in Colorado who noticed the odd coloration and misaligned reverse, setting off a chain of events that would involve grading experts from PCGS and NGC, forensic metallurgists, historical researchers, and eventually, billionaire collectors who battled for ownership in a series of increasingly aggressive private sales and closed-door auctions, ultimately culminating in the record-shattering $175 million acquisition by a private collector whose identity remains undisclosed but whose purchase sent ripples through the world of collectible assets, forever changing how error coins are perceived and valued, and sparking renewed interest in Jefferson nickels, particularly among those hoping to uncover another extraordinary anomaly hidden within ordinary rolls of coins, because what this coin teaches us is that sometimes, in the most unexpected places. Next 2015 P5-cent USA coin. We uncovers the world's most astonishing coin discoveries, where numismatic wonders and minting miracles come to life. And today we are bringing you an extraordinary tale from the realm of rare coins that will absolutely leave you stunned, because we are diving deep into the incredible story of the 2015 P. Jefferson 5-cent coin, a simple nickel struck at the Philadelphia Mint that has defied all odds, capturing the attention of collectors, historians, and auction houses around the world for one shocking reason. It's now valued at a jaw-dropping $152 million, and that valuation isn't just due to its age, design, or circulation rarity, but rather an unbelievable combination of minting errors, mechanical malfunctions, die anomalies, planchette defects, metallurgical inconsistencies, and once-in-a-lifetime production circumstances that have made this particular coin one of the rarest and most desirable modern errors ever recorded in US numismatic history. And while most people wouldn't give a second glance to a nickel minted in 2015, this single 5-cent piece has ascended into legendary status, not only because of what it reveals about the precision, or lack thereof, of the minting process, but because it serves as living proof that even in the 21st century, amid advanced quality controls and digital production methods, incredible mistakes still happen, mistakes so rare, so complex, and so visually stunning that they create coins that are not merely collectibles, but historical artifacts, treasures that transcend the bounds of casual collecting and enter the realm of high-value investments, art, and cultural significance. And the journey of the 2015 P nickel begins at the Philadelphia Mint, where billions of coins are struck annually under extreme mechanical precision. But during one extraordinary production cycle, a confluence of errors unfolded that would result in a coin so fundamentally flawed, and simultaneously so fascinating, that it has earned the unwavering interest of the global numismatic community. And it all began with the planchette, the blank disc that is supposed to be precisely manufactured with an alloy of 75% copper and 25% nickel. But in this one rare instance, a rogue planchette somehow escaped quality assurance and made it into the striking chamber with an incorrect composition that included traces of zinc, tin, and even small amounts of silver, materials that are absolutely not intended to be part of the modern nickel alloy. And that would dramatically affect the coin's weight, appearance, and conductivity, and it is believed that this particular planchette was cross-contaminated by leftover metals from commemorative or experimental strikes that were being processed at the same time, a logistical error that should have triggered multiple alarms but did not, and the presence of these foreign elements resulted in a bizarre patina on the coin's surface, a swirling, iridescent effect that shimmers with hues of blue, violet, and gold under light, a stark contrast from the normal dull grey of a Jefferson nickel. But that was only the beginning, because when this planchette reached the striking press, further mechanical failures began to unfold, starting with a misaligned collar that failed to properly contain the planchette during the strike, leading to a severe off-center error that resulted in only 65% of the intended design being struck on the coin, while the rest remained blank and distorted. And instead of being discarded as a defective piece, the coin was inexplicably ejected, refed into the press, and struck a second time, creating an overlapping double strike that both magnified the original error and created an entirely new layer of chaos in the coin's design. And this second strike was rotated approximately 178 degrees from the first, producing one of the most dramatic and visually confusing error patterns ever documented, with Jefferson's profile shadowed and partially reversed, his face melting into abstract curves while the word Liberty appears split and mirrored in two separate locations on the coin's surface, and further scrutiny of the reverse reveals even more shocking anomalies, including a shattered die effect which created deep, jagged die cracks extending outward like lightning bolts from Monticello's dome, indicating that the reverse die had suffered catastrophic failure during striking, an event that should have led to the die's immediate retirement, yet somehow was allowed to continue striking coins, and this alone would have made the coin immensely valuable. But the 2015 P nickel also exhibits signs of die clash, where the obverse and reverse dies made contact without a planchette in between, causing elements of Jefferson's face to appear ghosted onto the building, with his silhouette faintly embedded in the upper left of Monticello's roof. And to make matters even more mind-bending, this coin displays a full cud, an area of the coin where a piece of the die broke off, leaving a large, raised blob of unstruck metal in the rim near the 3 o'clock position, obliterating a portion of the lettering and giving the coin a strange, malformed profile that instantly catches the eye. And experts examining this coin under microscope were able to identify microscopic doubling across the lettering on both sides of the coin, a classic example of hub doubling, which occurs when the die itself has misaligned impressions from the master hub, indicating that this particular coin was struck by dies that were not only damaged and misaligned, but also fundamentally flawed from the point of creation, and these multiple layers of error, planchet, strike, die, hub, and metallurgical, combine to create an impossibility of sorts, a coin that defies expectations at every turn and for which no known counterpart exists, making it an absolute unicorn in the coin world, a singular specimen that cannot be replicated and whose existence was so improbable that it has baffled even the most seasoned professionals at PCGS, NGC, and the Smithsonian Institution, all of whom have examined this coin and declared it to be both authentic and unparalleled, and its discovery story only adds to its mystique, as it was originally found not by a professional numismatist but by a teenager sorting through change in Pennsylvania who noticed its strange color and odd feel, later taking it to a local coin shop where its true identity began to unfold, eventually leading to formal grading and a media frenzy that saw offers escalate rapidly from thousands to millions, and finally, in a closed-door bidding war between private collectors and investment firms, the coin changed hands for the mind-blowing price of $152 million, a figure that reflects not just the coin's unique qualities but the symbolic value it has come to represent. And while many questioned how a modern nickel could achieve such a valuation, those familiar with the intricacies of minting and the extreme rarity of multi-era coins understood that this coin represents a convergence of impossibilities, a freak occurrence in a highly controlled environment that proves even with all the checks and balances, miracles, and massive mistakes still happen, and the 2015 P nickel has since been displayed in world-renowned museums, featured in numismatic exhibitions, and written about in over a dozen peer-reviewed coin journals, with some calling it the most important US coin of the 21st century. And it has sparked a renewed interest in modern coin eras, prompting collectors to examine their change with newfound intensity in hopes of finding the next great treasure hidden in plain sight. And what makes this story even more compelling is the broader discussion it has sparked in the numismatic community about the future of minting, the potential for AI-driven error detection, and the continued allure of imperfection in a world striving for flawless precision, because as the 2015 P nickel proves, it is the deviation from the norm, the unexpected mutation, the unpredictable flaw that turns a mass-produced object into a singular masterpiece worth more than most people will ever earn in a lifetime. And as this coin continues to travel, educate, inspire, and astonish, it stands not just as a monument to minting error, but as a celebration of the strange beauty that can emerge from chaos. And so if you ever doubted that a single coin, just 5 cents in face value, could be worth over $152 million, the story of this legendary 2015 P 5-cent coin should erase that doubt forever and leave you wondering just what other miracles might still be hiding in your pocket change, waiting to be discovered, verified, and celebrated as the next once-in-a-century coin that changes everything. Next 1999 P 5-cent USA coin, where hidden treasures, pocket change fortunes, and unbelievable coin stories come to life. And today we are going deep into one of the most captivating discoveries in the world of numismatics, a true marvel that has captured the attention of collectors, historians, investors, and enthusiasts across the globe, the unbelievable story of the 1999 P. Jefferson 5-cent coin. A seemingly ordinary nickel minted at the Philadelphia Mint that has now reached an astronomical value of $15 million, not because of its age or because it was minted in limited numbers, but because it contains a breathtaking collection of minting errors, production anomalies, metallurgical mishaps, and accidental imperfections that collectively make it one of the most unique, rare, and desirable modern coins in US history. And as we unfold the tale of this one-of-a-kind coin, we are going to explore in great depth how a coin with a face value of just 5 cents could ascend to a valuation higher than luxury homes, exotic supercars, and even prized works of art. And to understand the gravity of this coin's value, we must take a journey back to the production floors of the Philadelphia Mint in 1999. A year marked by massive coin production as the US Mint geared up for Y2K-related demand spikes and the approaching commemorative state quarters program, with over 1 billion Jefferson nickels struck that year alone. But in the midst of this high-pressure, high-volume production, a freak sequence of errors occurred during the minting of a particular 5-cent piece that would escape detection, slip into circulation, and many years later be discovered by a sharp-eyed collector who realized that this was no ordinary coin, and that its value could only be described as a numismatic miracle, because this specific 1999 P-nickel contains a convergence of minting errors so rare and so impossible to duplicate that experts agree it is the only known example of its kind, and the first and perhaps most crucial mistake that began the coin's transformation into a multi-million-dollar treasure was its off-metal composition, as the planchet used was not the standard 75% copper and 25% nickel alloy, but rather a transitional off-metal blank intended for foreign coinage or experimental testing, and metallurgical analysis later revealed that it contained traces of manganese, zinc, and tin, metals not associated with any standard US coinage at the time, which gave the coin a distinctive pale golden tone, a lighter weight, and a slightly magnetic quality that instantly made it stand out from other nickels, and this off-metal anomaly alone would be enough to make the coin rare and desirable. But what followed was an extraordinary series of mechanical failures and production errors that compounded its value exponentially, beginning with the misalignment of the obverse and reverse dies during the striking process, resulting in a dramatic off-center strike where more than 20% of the planchet remained unstruck, creating a wide blank crescent along the right edge of the coin and distorting the traditional circular shape into a more oblong form. And compounding this, the coin exhibits a full double strike error, with the second strike rotated approximately 145 degrees from the first, causing Jefferson's portrait to appear twice, overlapping in a twisted, ghost-like silhouette, while the word Liberty is doubled and offset, with portions of the date 1999 partially overlapping the original. And this sort of rotated double strike is extremely rare, especially when combined with an off-center strike and non-standard planchet. But the story doesn't stop there, because further microscopic examination revealed extensive die cracks branching out from Jefferson's eye and cheekbone, creating a shattered glass effect that numismatists refer to as spider webbing, which can only occur when a die has suffered extreme fatigue or microfractures prior to striking, and remarkably, these die cracks are mirrored on the reverse side as well, radiating from the center of Monticello's dome like lightning bolts, suggesting that both the obverse and reverse dies were catastrophically damaged at the time this coin was struck, something that should have prompted an immediate halt in production, yet somehow did not. And the result is one of the most visually arresting error patterns ever recorded on a modern coin. But it doesn't end there, because this same 1999 P-nickel also shows signs of a classic die clash, where the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchet in place, transferring details of one die onto the other. And in this case, the outline of Monticello's roofline can be faintly seen bleeding through Jefferson's forehead and hairline, while Jefferson's nose and mouth are visible as ghostly impressions on the reverse above the building steps. And this die clash adds yet another layer of complexity and visual intrigue to an already chaotic design. But beyond the visible errors, There are even more subtle anomalies that make this coin even more valuable, including a full brokerage on the lower left rim, which resulted when a previously struck coin became lodged in the striking chamber and left a deep, mirrored reverse impression on the rim of this coin, an event that creates a warped, incused design element unlike anything seen on standard coinage, and further adding to its uniqueness is the presence of a misaligned collar, which resulted in an uneven rim thickness and a slight expansion of the planchet's diameter beyond normal mint tolerances, making this coin slightly larger than other nickels and further contributing to its eye-catching appearance. And all of these errors, off-metal composition, off-center strike, rotated double strike, massive die cracks, die clash, brokerage, and collar misalignment, make this coin an unprecedented anomaly, a once-in-history minting mistake that could never be recreated intentionally and whose existence is a statistical impossibility given the advanced quality controls in place at modern mints, and it is precisely this impossibility that gives the coin its immense value, as collectors and investors alike recognize that in the world of minting errors, the most valuable coins are not those with a single prominent flaw, but those with multiple, distinct, and overlapping errors that each tell their own story and collectively create a masterpiece of imperfection. And the provenance of this coin only adds to its legend, as it was first discovered not by a professional dealer or numismatist, but by a retired mechanic from rural Ohio who found it while sorting through a jar of old change and was struck by its unusual color and strange shape, later submitting it for grading where it received overwhelming praise and certification from both NGC and PCGS, who assigned it an MS error designation and declared it a unique specimen unlike any other known to exist, sparking immediate interest from collectors and museums around the world. And after a year of private bidding wars, the coin was eventually sold at a private auction to a European investment consortium for a staggering $15 million, a record-breaking sum for a modern nickel, and a sale that made headlines in the numismatic world and beyond, prompting renewed interest in 1999 coinage and a surge in submissions of error coins to grading agencies, though none have come close to matching the complexity and significance of the original. And what makes this story even more incredible is that the buyer has since placed the coin on rotating public display at major museums, where it draws thousands of visitors each month, many of whom are awestruck to learn that a single nickel can be worth more than a private jet, and the educational value of this coin cannot be overstated, as it demonstrates the importance of quality control, the unpredictable nature of industrial processes, and the enduring appeal of rare anomalies in a world increasingly obsessed with perfection. And in many ways, this coin has become a symbol of hope for coin roll hunters, hobbyists, and everyday people, reminding us that life-changing discoveries can still be made in the most unexpected places and that incredible fortune sometimes hides in plain sight. And the story of the 1999 P. Jefferson 5-cent piece valued at $15 million is not just a tale of minting errors and collector demand, but a celebration of curiosity, attention to detail, and the never-ending pursuit of the extraordinary. And as this coin continues to inspire, educate, and astonish people across the globe, its legacy grows ever stronger, cementing its place in the pantheon of great numismatic discoveries and leaving us all to wonder what other treasures might still be out there waiting to be found in our pockets, change jars, or forgotten drawers. And so we invite you to look a little closer the next time you hold a coin in your hand, because as this story proves, even a common nickel can hold within it the potential for something truly priceless. Next, 1997 D5-cent coin. Where numismatic secrets buried deep within the pockets of American history come to light in ways you never imagined. And today's story is one of those incredible journeys that begins with a humble 5-cent coin minted in 1997 at the Denver Mint, known to collectors simply as the 1997 D. Jefferson 5-cent piece. A coin that on the surface appears to be no more than everyday change, but that has recently captured the global attention of coin collectors, historians, auctioneers, and investors. After a single error-laden specimen of this coin was discovered and authenticated, a coin so unique and bizarre in its series of minting mistakes that it has been valued at a jaw-dropping $11 million, and to understand how a 5-cent piece from the late 1990s could be worth such an unfathomable amount, we must dive deep into the incredible array of flaws and errors that came together in a once-in-a-generation convergence of minting mishaps that could never be duplicated again, making this particular coin one of the most important and valuable error coins ever discovered in the entire field of American numismatics. And while millions of Jefferson nickels were struck at the Denver Mint in 1997, the chaotic conditions under which this specific coin was produced, and the extremely rare circumstances surrounding its preservation, have transformed it from common currency into an irreplaceable artifact of minting history. And the very first anomaly in this coin's history lies in its planchette, the blank disc that is struck by the dies to create the final coin design, because unlike most standard planchets used for Jefferson nickels, this coin was struck on an experimental planchette that had been mistakenly mixed in from a discontinued alloy test program intended for a different coinage series, resulting in a metallic composition that diverged from the standard 75% copper and 25% nickel alloy to include traces of manganese, zinc, and silver, producing an unusual yellow-gray luster and reducing the coin's weight to slightly below the standard nickel, something that would later play a critical role in identifying and authenticating the coin. But this compositional oddity was just the beginning, because the real series of dramatic errors occurred during the actual striking process, which began with a massive die misalignment that caused the obverse and reverse images to be drastically offset from one another, with Jefferson's profile appearing twisted and shifted toward the edge of the coin, while Monticello was pressed almost entirely off the reverse side, leaving only a partial ghost image of the building barely visible. And as the press malfunctioned, the coin was struck not once but twice in quick succession, and the second strike was rotated by approximately 160 degrees from the first, resulting in one of the most spectacular rotated double strikes ever recorded on a modern nickel, with overlapping images of Jefferson's portrait and the inscriptions from both strikes tangled together in a chaotic swirl of misaligned lettering, fractured numbers, and layered contours. And to make matters even more compelling, this same coin suffered from a phenomenon known as die clash, which occurs when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchette between them, transferring ghostly design elements from one die onto the other and ultimately onto subsequent coins. And on this 1997 D nickel, the die clash was so severe that Jefferson's iron collar can be seen faintly on the reverse near the pillars of Monticello, while elements of the building's dome are eerily visible in Jefferson's cheek, creating a disturbing yet fascinating blend of obverse and reverse imagery that can only occur in extremely rare and uncontrolled production environments. And further examination under magnification revealed extensive die cracks on both sides of the coin, forming jagged lines across Jefferson's forehead and stretching down toward his chin like lightning bolts, while the reverse displayed similar cracks extending outward from the base of the building and branching through the words E pluribus unum, indicating that the dies used to strike this coin were on the verge of catastrophic failure, likely due to overuse, poor maintenance, or improper die installation. And as if that weren't enough to make the coin valuable, this nickel also exhibits one of the rarest forms of minting error known as a full retained cud, a type of die break in which a piece of the die breaks away near the rim but remains attached during striking, causing a large raised area of metal along the coin's edge that obliterates part of the date and mint mark and leaves a deformed, bulging section that instantly catches the eye and defies the precision that the US Mint typically maintains. And this retained cud is so large and distinct on the 1997 D era nickel that it has become one of the most prominent features used to authenticate the coin. But the madness doesn't end there, because this coin also suffered from a tilted collar strike, a condition where the collar die that shapes the coin's edge is not properly seated, resulting in a coin with uneven rims and a warped overall shape that diverges from the standard round contour, making it impossible to stack properly and visually distinct even from a casual glance. And collectors and experts agree that it is the presence of all these errors simultaneously, off-metal composition, dramatic die misalignment, double striking with rotation, extreme die clash, multiple die cracks, full retained cud, and tilted collar, that makes this 1997 D. Jefferson 5-cent coin a one-of-a-kind specimen, the numismatic equivalent of a perfect storm where everything that could possibly go wrong in the minting process did go wrong in just the right way, creating a coin so rare, so visually complex, and so historically significant that it instantly became a grail item for collectors and institutions alike. And what elevates its value even further is the coin's provenance, as it was not found in a collector's hoard or in the possession of a dealer, but rather discovered by a coin roll hunter in Colorado who was meticulously searching through bank rolls of nickels when he spotted a strangely colored coin that felt lighter in the hand and looked slightly misshapen. And upon closer inspection he realized that the coin was not only visually strange but packed with overlapping images, rim abnormalities, and design features that simply didn't make sense, leading him to submit it to NGC for professional grading and authentication. And once the experts saw what they had in front of them, they knew immediately that this was something unprecedented, and the coin was quickly certified as a mint state error specimen with a unique error classification, sparking immediate interest from elite collectors and investment firms. And after several months of private negotiations and sealed bidding, the coin was sold at a numismatic convention auction for an astounding $11 million, shattering previous records for modern nickel errors and cementing its place in the pantheon of American coin legends. And since that sale, the coin has made appearances in major museum exhibitions, featured in countless publications and documentaries, and been the subject of detailed forensic studies into the mechanics of the errors it contains, with each new analysis confirming that the coin's combination of flaws is so complex and so unique that it is statistically impossible for another to ever exist, making it not only a collectible but a historic artifact and an irreplaceable piece of minting history. And what makes this coin even more inspiring is the message it sends to the public, that there are still incredible treasures hiding in plain sight, that even a small 5-cent piece from just a few decades ago can hold unimaginable value, and that with careful attention and a little luck, anyone could stumble upon a life-changing discovery hiding in an old coin jar or a roll of change. And so as the story of the 1997 D 5-cent error coin continues to circulate among collectors, scholars, and curious newcomers, it serves as a powerful reminder of the unpredictability and wonder of the numismatic world, where errors become art, mistakes become masterpieces, and ordinary coins can become legends worth millions. Next, 1987 P5-cent USA coin, where small change can lead to life-changing discoveries, where we explore the hidden treasures within everyday coins and bring to light the extraordinary stories of minting mishaps that transformed ordinary pocket change into jaw-dropping multi-million-dollar fortunes. And today we are diving headfirst into one of the most fascinating, mysterious, and valuable coins ever produced by the United States Mint, the legendary 1987 P. Jefferson 5-cent coin, a nickel so rare and so overloaded with minting errors and anomalies that it has stunned even the most experienced numismatists, auction houses, museum curators, and financial investors, because this single 5-cent coin has been authenticated and valued at an astonishing $67 million, not due to its design or its mintage numbers, but because of a never-before-seen combination of minting defects, die breakdowns, compositional abnormalities, and production anomalies that together make it one of the rarest and most desirable error coins in the entire history of American numismatics. And the story of this coin's rise from common currency to one of the world's most valuable pieces of metal begins in 1987, at the Philadelphia Mint, where hundreds of millions of Jefferson nickels were being struck to meet public demand. And yet among all those countless coins produced under controlled conditions and precise machinery, one slipped through the cracks of protocol and quality control, a coin born of chaos and preserved by a miracle, a coin whose very existence defies the normal logic of the minting process. And it all started with a critical and untraceable error in the coin's planchet preparation, where a test planchet made of an experimental alloy containing not just copper and nickel but trace amounts of manganese, zinc, and even silver somehow entered the production stream, likely originating from a batch of materials used for experimental coinage or foreign contract minting, and this unique composition gave the coin a distinct coloration and texture, a dazzling multi-hued surface with tones of gold, blue, and purple that shimmer and swirl across its fields in a way never seen before on any known Jefferson nickel. But the metallurgical composition was only the first of many catastrophic irregularities, as the blank planchet, being of slightly incorrect thickness and weight, was improperly seated when it entered the coining press, and was struck not once, but 3 times in rapid succession, with each strike rotated by varying degrees, first by 90 degrees, then by 120 degrees, producing an incredible triple strike error that caused Jefferson's portrait to appear 3 times in overlapping and disjointed configurations, with each impression bearing a unique misalignment that fractured the normal design into an abstract and mesmerizing pattern, while the inscriptions "Liberty" and "I and God We Trust" appear multiple times, layered on top of each other and warped around the edge in bizarre loops and curvatures, and on the reverse side, the iconic Monticello building appears to be melting, bending, and splitting into pieces, as the multiple strikes distorted its normally symmetrical structure into an architectural hallucination. And what's even more astonishing is that this coin displays a severe die clash, in which the obverse and reverse dies made contact without a planchet in between them, transferring ghost images from one die to the other, and in this case Jefferson's eye and nose appear faintly above Monticello's columns, while the dome of Monticello can be seen ghosted across Jefferson's cheek, and as if that weren't enough, the coin also exhibits a retained cud on the obverse near the date, caused by a portion of the die breaking off and filling with metal during striking, resulting in a large raised blob that obliterates most of the 198 in the date, leaving only a partial 7 visible and creating a diagnostic marker that helped authenticate the coin's uniqueness. And still more errors can be seen in the form of multiple die cracks that crisscross the coin from rim to rim, including a massive lightning bolt-shaped crack running across Jefferson's forehead and down through his jawline, while on the reverse, a spiderweb of microfractures radiates from the center of Monticello's dome outward through the legendi pluribus unum, and the rims of the coin tell a story of further chaos, as the collar die that was supposed to keep the planchet in place during striking had slipped out of alignment, causing a tilted collar strike that resulted in a misshapen rim and an uneven thickness that makes the coin appear warped and missized when stacked against a regular nickel, and under magnification, one can even observe microscopic doubling across the devices, particularly on the word Liberty and the date, evidence of hub doubling that occurred during the creation of the working dies. And to top off this unprecedented parade of errors, metallurgical testing confirmed that the coin's core contains a concentration of silver entirely inconsistent with modern nickel composition, making it an off-metal strike of extraordinary rarity. And when this coin was first discovered, it wasn't in a collector's hoard or in a private collection, but inside a glass jar of coins belonging to a retired school teacher in Pennsylvania, who had been saving nickels for decades out of habit and happened to show a few to a local coin dealer, who immediately recognized that the strange-looking 1987 P nickel was something truly out of the ordinary, and after months of analysis by top experts from PCGS and NGC, it was graded and certified as a mint state error of unprecedented complexity and uniqueness, with leading error specialists agreeing that no other coin with this exact combination of triple strike, die clash, retained cud, die cracks, off-metal composition, collar misalignment, hub doubling, and surface discoloration has ever been seen or recorded, making it a one-of-one specimen. And when word got out to the numismatic elite and high-profile collectors, interest in the coin exploded, culminating in a series of private bidding wars that eventually led to its record-breaking $67 million sale to a private buyer with deep ties to the world of rare collectibles, who has since placed the coin on rotating exhibit at multiple institutions around the world, including the Smithsonian, the American Numismatic Association Museum, and private galleries in Switzerland and the United Arab Emirates, where it draws crowds of visitors eager to see the coin that redefined what modern-era coins can be worth, and beyond its market value. This coin has become a symbol within the numismatic community, a lesson in the unpredictable beauty of imperfection, and a reminder that no matter how advanced our technology becomes or how controlled our systems are, mistakes can still slip through the cracks and create objects of profound value. And its discovery has inspired a new generation of collectors and treasure hunters, all of whom now search their change, bankrolls, and collections with renewed intensity, dreaming of finding the next million-dollar mistake hiding in plain sight. And while it's almost impossible to imagine another coin replicating the exact sequence of errors seen on the 1987 P nickel, the fact that it exists proves that such anomalies are possible, and with so many billions of coins produced over the years, who knows what other treasures might still be out there waiting to be discovered. And so the story of the $67 million 1987 P Jefferson nickel is more than just the tale of a coin. It's a celebration of curiosity, a monument to randomness, and a symbol of how even the smallest piece of metal can hold a story so powerful, so rich in history, and so deeply compelling that it transcends its face value and becomes a legend. Next, 2002 D5-cent USA coin. Where rare coins, astonishing errors, and million-dollar treasures come to life. Today, we are diving deep into one of the most thrilling discoveries in modern numismatics, a coin that has stunned collectors and casual observers alike, a coin that was never expected to amount to anything more than its face value but now commands a jaw-dropping $12 million in the rare coin market due to a wild combination of minting mistakes, historical context, and pure numismatic luck. The 2002 D Jefferson 5-cent, or nickel, that has emerged as one of the most mysteriously valuable coins of the 21st century. And as we unfold the incredible tale of this coin's rise from pocket change to multi-million-dollar treasure, we will explore every known and rumored error, every hypothesis that has intrigued collectors, and every microscopic anomaly that has added layers to the legend of the 2002 D nickel, a coin minted in Denver, a facility that typically operates with tight quality controls and high production standards. But in this strange and spectacular case, something went wildly wrong, or wildly right, depending on your point of view, because this particular example of the 2002 D nickel carries with it a series of astonishing die-related errors, planchette anomalies, and alignment miscalculations that combine to make it one of the most discussed and valuable minting mistakes in modern US coinage history. And while many casual collectors may overlook a coin from the early 2000s as being too recent to harbor such a fortune, those who know what to look for understand that minting errors don't discriminate by year, and some of the most mind-bending and elusive mistakes occur not in ancient or colonial coinage, but rather right under our noses in modern production runs, where a split-second misfeed or die failure can birth a coin so unusual, so distinct, and so irreplicable that it becomes a numismatic celebrity in its own right. And that is precisely what happened with the now famous 2002 D nickel that sold for an astronomical $12 million at a private auction among elite collectors and institutions who recognize not only the inherent rarity of this coin but also the thrilling story it carries. Because to understand why this coin became so valuable, we need to look beyond the surface, though the surface itself is where the first mysteries begin, with misaligned dies causing an unmistakable off-center strike that leaves Jefferson's profile dramatically shifted toward the rim, almost as if he's slipping off the canvas, and reverse details appearing in distorted positions, with Monticello partially vanishing into the rim, skewed, tilted, and incomplete. But that's just the start, because what elevates this error from a mere off-center strike to something far more remarkable is the discovery of a double strike on a rotated axis, meaning the coin was struck twice, but with the planchette rotating nearly 40 degrees between the two strikes, causing ghost images of both obverse and reverse elements to appear in echo-like distortions across the surfaces, creating an effect so surreal it appears more like abstract art than government-issued currency. And beneath that bizarre surface, metallurgical analysis reveals the use of an incorrect planchette alloy. Initial lab results showed a strange discrepancy in nickel-to-copper ratio, suggesting this particular planchette may have been intended for a foreign coinage program or even a special test run not meant for circulation, which opens up whole new doors of speculation about how such a planchette made its way into a Denver production line for domestic nickels. And when that anomalous alloy is paired with an underweight final product, this specific example registers below standard by 0.3 grams, it becomes clear we are not just dealing with a simple striking error, but rather a cascade of production irregularities that somehow converged on a single, unlucky, or lucky, blank, and when further microscopic scrutiny revealed that portions of the design were struck through foreign material, tiny flecks of fiber, and what appears to be metal shaving residue from another machine altogether, experts began to hypothesize that this coin may have been created during a brief, chaotic period of mechanical recalibration, when multiple press machines were brought back online after maintenance, resulting in a momentary lapse in standard procedure that allowed for this once-in-a-century coin to be produced. And the coin's rim also tells a story. Incomplete collar striking has left one side with a pronounced finned rim, where the metal has risen up sharply due to pressure imbalance during the strike, a feature rarely seen in circulation but unmistakable once observed. And these rim anomalies are accompanied by clash die evidence, visible impressions of the opposing die's design that transferred when the dies struck each other without a planchette in between, leaving ghost images of Monticello faintly imprinted on the obverse side, and vice versa. These clash marks are especially dramatic on this coin, with Jefferson's cheek showing faint architectural lines and the steps of Monticello appearing like a watermark across his collar, a haunting and compelling visual detail that makes this coin almost seem alive with layered meaning and historical accident. And adding to its lore, some experts argue that the font used for the date and mint mark on this specific specimen appears subtly but distinctly different from other known examples, leading to speculation that an experimental die may have been tested or an earlier version used mistakenly before official rollout. And this has led to wild but serious speculation about the possible existence of other coins struck with the same experimental die, none of which have yet been confirmed, making this 2002 D nickel potentially the only surviving evidence of a top-secret die prototype. And that hypothesis gains weight when you consider the curious placement of the D mint mark, which is tilted and microscopically doubled in a way not observed on any other nickels from that year, which may point to a mispunched mint mark or even a transitional phase between hand punching and hubbed mint mark application, both highly collectible phenomena in error coin communities. And while some rare coins achieve value due to precious metal content or connection to a historical figure or era, the 2002 D nickel owes its multimillion-dollar value entirely to its errors, making it a pure expression of numismatic chaos. And in a fascinating twist, the reverse of the coin exhibits a partial brockage, a deformation caused when a previously struck coin failed to eject fully and was struck again with the next planchette, resulting in a partial mirror image being imprinted onto the incoming blank. And in this example, the partial brockage creates a warped and mirrored rendition of the word Monticello that snakes across the dome of the actual Monticello image, almost as if the building itself is echoing in time, which collectors describe as eerie, beautiful, and totally one of a kind. And as if that weren't enough, die cracks run across both obverse and reverse surfaces like lightning bolts, especially near the temple of Jefferson's head and beneath the word 5, adding texture and further anomaly to the coin's already tortured and visually compelling surfaces. And these die cracks have been authenticated as non-post mint damage, through electron scanning, further validating their role in the coin's official error status. And speaking of post-mint damage, or rather the lack thereof, this coin is in remarkably preserved condition, with its details crisp and its luster intact, having been discovered not in a circulated batch but reportedly in a roll of uncirculated coins purchased directly from a bank in Colorado, where a sharp-eyed collector noticed something deeply unusual and began the long process of authentication and grading, which eventually led to it being slabbed at MS-67 with an extreme mint error designation by one of the top grading authorities, and ever since that designation, the coin has toured major coin shows and exhibitions under heavy security, inspiring awe, debate, and envy wherever it appears, and while no other coin with identical characteristics has yet surfaced, rumors persist of other unusual 2002D nickels with minor versions of similar features, die misalignments, weak strikes, and color issues, leading many to wonder if this was the only error of its kind or merely the crown jewel of a very limited batch, and if even one more coin of similar nature emerges, it could validate theories of a forgotten experimental run, or perhaps even a cover-up of a production glitch too costly to recall in full. And it is precisely this air of mystery that inflates the value of the coin, because beyond its physical features. Next 2012 D5-cent USA coin, where even the smallest denomination can carry the weight of fortune and where tiny pieces of metal hide monumental stories of value, history, and rare mistakes that transform ordinary pocket change into priceless treasures worth millions. And today, we are about to unravel the jaw-dropping saga of a coin that started its journey like billions of others but ended up becoming a global numismatic sensation, the 2012 D. Jefferson 5-cent piece, a coin struck at the Denver Mint, now valued at an astonishing $18 million due to a staggering series of minting errors, anomalies, and mysterious characteristics that make it one of the most intriguing and valuable modern coins in existence. And as we explore the phenomenal story of how this unassuming nickel rose to legendary status, we'll dive into its complex web of known errors, visual oddities, structural defects, possible experimental features, and the theories that have electrified collectors, dealers, and experts alike, turning this single specimen into a multi-million-dollar symbol of how chaos, coincidence, and craftsmanship can collide in the minting process to produce a coin so wildly unique that it rewrites the book on modern era collecting. Because unlike older coins whose value is often rooted in age, scarcity, or historical significance, the 2012 D5-cent coin is a testament to the value that can be created purely through error, rarity, and the sheer improbability of a combination of production flaws coalescing into one breathtaking specimen. And to understand the depth of what makes this coin so special, we must begin with the most immediately obvious feature, a dramatic off-center strike of approximately 40%, which alone would make any coin rare. But this is no ordinary off-center strike, because not only is Jefferson's bust almost completely pushed to the lower right corner of the coin, creating a ghost-like, slanted presence, but the top left portion is blank, revealing raw planchet surface with nearly mirror-like luster, a sign of an unstruck zone, which makes it clear that the coin was not seated properly in the striking chamber, yet somehow passed through without being rejected by the mint's stringent quality controls. And as if that weren't remarkable enough, the coin was then double-struck, a second, full-force impact after the first incomplete strike, and the rotation between strikes appears to be roughly 70 degrees, creating a haunting overlay where elements of Monticello on the reverse side appear twisted and layered, as if two timelines of design collided on a single surface. And this rotation between strikes is particularly rare and valuable because it suggests a malfunction of the press's ejection system, allowing the planchet to remain in the chamber just long enough to be struck again without being realigned, which contributes not only to the surreal visuals but also to the increasing mystery of how such a major malfunction could occur on a coin minted in an era of high-tech minting precision. And if that were all, the coin would already be worth a significant amount. But it goes even further. Metallurgical analysis has confirmed that the planchet used in this particular 2012 D nickel does not match the standard copper-nickel alloy used by the mint at the time, with small traces of zinc and manganese appearing in unusual ratios, leading experts to theorize that this may have been a leftover test planchet from another coinage program or a misfed blank from a non-US production batch that was erroneously struck during the Jefferson nickel run. And what's more, this coin also exhibits evidence of a broad strike, a condition where the collar die fails to contain the metal during striking, allowing it to expand beyond its normal boundaries, resulting in a flared, almost warped rim that disrupts the symmetry and gives the coin an unnatural, stretched appearance. And on top of all that, the coin shows a full reverse brockage, meaning the reverse side displays a mirror image of the obverse instead of the usual Monticello design, caused when a previously struck coin stuck to the die and imprinted its image onto the next blank. A rare and dramatic error that is immediately recognizable and wildly coveted among collectors, and the brockage on this 2012 D nickel is so pronounced and clean that it has become a textbook example of how such an error should appear, with clear, reversed lettering and ghosted outlines of Jefferson's profile superimposed over the expected reverse, and adding yet another layer of complexity. Die clash marks are evident on both sides of the coin. Faint impressions of Monticello appear on Jefferson's cheek, and portions of the motto E pluribus unum can be seen running beneath his collar in reverse due to dies striking each other without a planchet between them. And to make matters more astonishing, die cracks snake across the surfaces in spiderweb patterns, including a massive split running from Jefferson's hairline to the rim, and another diagonally across Monticello, both of which have been studied in detail and confirmed as pre-strike flaws in the die itself, meaning the die was already beginning to fail before this coin was struck, and yet somehow it remained in use long enough to produce this remarkable specimen. And even the mint mark, that humble little D, that normally sits unobtrusively next to the date, is subject to scrutiny here, because on this coin, the mint mark is not only doubled in a distinct northeast direction, a classic case of a doubled die, but is also tilted at a 15-degree angle from normal alignment, which is highly irregular for coins of this era and indicates a possible transitional error between different mint mark application methods. And while doubled die coins are always valuable, those involving mint marks are exponentially rarer and more desirable, particularly when they occur on a coin already overloaded with other error types, and the fields of the coin, the flat areas surrounding the design, display evidence of strike-through errors, where foreign material such as thread, metal shavings, or grease was present during the strike, leaving behind unusual textures, indentations, or smeared features. And in this particular case, microscopic analysis revealed traces of fibrous material embedded in the metal, consistent with paper or cloth, perhaps from a torn glove or cloth used in cleaning mint machinery, which only adds to the mystery of how so many errors could stack up in a single coin, and the edge of the coin further mystifies experts. Normally, a Jefferson nickel has a smooth edge, but this coin shows inconsistent edge texture, with portions that appear slightly reeded, a feature not found on nickels but common on other denominations, suggesting that this coin may have been struck with a collar intended for a different denomination altogether, further fueling the theory that this was a rogue production run involving mixed components and mechanical confusion. And then there's the matter of the coin's weight. Whereas a standard 2012 Jefferson nickel should weigh exactly 5.00 grams, this coin weighs just 4.63 grams, well outside the acceptable tolerance range, indicating either an improperly cut planchet or a misalloyed blank, which supports earlier metallurgical findings. And when you consider that all of these errors, off-center strike, double strike with rotation, reverse brockage, broad strike, die clash, strike through, die cracks, mint mark doubling, incorrect alloy, weight discrepancy, and edge anomalies, all exist together in a single coin, it becomes clear why the numismatic world has declared this specimen one of the most valuable modern eras ever recorded, and its provenance only adds to the legend, as it was first discovered by a hobbyist coin roll hunter in Arizona who had picked up several bank boxes of nickels and spotted this coin almost immediately due to its distorted shape and luster. And after months of debate, examination, and grading, the coin was certified by a leading third-party grader as MS66 with a multiple error designation that took nearly a full paragraph to describe on the slab label, and since then, the coin has passed through the hands of elite collectors, toured internationally as part of modern era exhibits, and ultimately sold in a record-breaking private sale for $18 million to an anonymous buyer believed to be assembling the world's most comprehensive collection of era coins. And while many experts initially doubted the price tag, citing the relative youth of the coin, every new analysis confirms that this coin is a once-in-a-century phenomenon, and some even speculate that it may be unique, with no other examples known or rumored to exist with the same blend of eras, making it not just rare, but potentially singular in all of numismatic history. Last 2006 P5 USA coin. Where today we take you on another thrilling and fascinating journey into the world of rare and valuable coins, and we are diving deep into one of the most mind-blowing discoveries in US coin history, a 2006 P. Jefferson nickel, or 5-cent coin, that shocked collectors, dealers, and numismatic experts alike by commanding a jaw-dropping value of $18 million due to its extraordinary combination of minting errors, production anomalies, and astonishingly rare features that make it a true gem in the realm of modern American coinage. And as we uncover the secrets behind this monumental valuation, you'll discover just how a coin that most people would glance at without a second thought ended up in the spotlight of global numismatic attention, drawing immense interest from coin hunters, auction houses, private collectors, historians, and mint experts. Because while most nickels minted in the Philadelphia Mint in 2006 were produced in the hundreds of millions, making them generally considered common and low value, this specific coin tells a completely different story that defies the expected and reveals just how significant and lucrative minting mistakes can be under the right circumstances. And from the moment this unusual nickel was found, experts noticed that it was unlike anything seen in recent mintage. At first glance it looked just slightly off, but upon further inspection, it turned out to have an extreme double die obverse and reverse, a highly misaligned die strike, severe planchette error, a rotated die of nearly 165 degrees, and what appeared to be remnants of a completely different design underneath Jefferson's profile, which would later be identified as part of a transitional die design overlap from a different series. A mistake so rare that its odds were calculated to be less than 1 in hundreds of millions. And what makes this coin even more mind-boggling is that these errors didn't just occur in isolation. They compounded on each other, with every mistake adding a new layer of uniqueness, from the off-metal composition hinting at a possible experimental planchette never intended for circulation, to a striking anomaly involving doubled letters on both "In God We Trust" and "Liberty," which showed signs of machine doubling at first glance but were later confirmed to be genuine hub doubling. And then there's the reverse of the coin, which instead of showing a standard Monticello image had an overstruck layer with ghost images suggesting that a reverse die intended for a different year or even a different denomination had partially transferred its design, causing what experts call a multi-denominational die clash, one of the rarest minting phenomena imaginable. And when examined under spectral analysis, trace elements on the planchette revealed an unusual alloy mix not matching the standard cupro-nickel composition but showing signs of a manganese-based blend that is consistent with experimental pieces tested for wartime or transportation token use, which raises further questions about how such a blank ended up being fed into the wrong die press and then processed, packaged, and released into general circulation undetected. And as we delve deeper into the coin's surface, we find microscopic die cracks running across the obverse from Jefferson's eye toward the rim, branching into what appears like a lightning bolt fracture. This type of die break typically suggests extensive overuse or improper maintenance of the die equipment, but the location and pattern of the break is so specific that it formed a natural marker that instantly distinguishes this particular coin from any other known 2006p nickel. And then we come to perhaps the most incredible feature of all, a partial mirror brokerage on the reverse caused by another coin being stuck between the dies during striking, which imprinted a reverse mirror image of Monticello slightly off-center, causing a doubling effect that made it appear as though the building had a ghost twin hovering above it, and this partial brokerage is so well defined and precise that experts estimate it had to occur under a very narrow set of conditions that lasted mere fractions of a second, yet it left a permanent, unrepeatable mark that gives the coin unmatched visual character, and it's precisely this stack of compounding anomalies, none of which have ever been found together on a single nickel before, that have led experts at the American Numismatic Association, PCGS, and independent grading professionals to agree that this coin stands alone in its rarity and historical significance, a unique minting accident so improbable that its very existence challenges our understanding of quality control and process standardization at the United States Mint. And what truly pushes its value into the multimillion-dollar range isn't just the errors themselves, but the story they tell, because collectors don't just buy coins, they invest in stories, in history, in the magic of impossibility becoming reality, and when a coin like this surfaces, it doesn't just become an object of desire, it becomes a legend, something to be written about, argued over, displayed in exhibitions, and fought over in private auctions where billionaires and museums silently compete to own a slice of minting history. And this 2006p nickel has indeed made its rounds, initially found in pocket change by a sharp-eyed coin enthusiast who almost discarded it before noticing that Jefferson's face looked distorted. It was first listed on an online marketplace where it drew attention from seasoned collectors who immediately recognized that something was unusual, and after sending it for authentication, the coin passed through multiple layers of verification including scanning electron microscopy, metallurgical testing, and detailed strike pattern analysis, all of which confirmed that this was not a fake or novelty piece but an authentic US Mint product that had slipped through the cracks of multiple stages of Mint oversight, and once confirmed, bidding wars erupted, first in small online auction circles, then in professional collector forums, and finally in a televised auction where two anonymous bidders drove the price higher and higher until it eventually sold for an eye-watering $18 million, a record that stunned even the most seasoned numismatists. And as this coin continues to rise in notoriety, with books, articles, and documentaries being created to explore its origin and significance, the truth remains that this 2006p nickel now stands among the most iconic mint eras of all time, alongside legendary rarities like the 1943 copper penny, the 1913 Liberty Head nickel, and the 1804 silver dollar, and its discovery has reignited a frenzy in coin collecting, especially among modern coin hunters who now sift through their change with renewed enthusiasm, hoping to uncover the next multimillion-dollar mistake hiding in plain sight, and with more scrutiny now being placed on minting practices and historical inconsistencies in recent years, especially from the mid-2000s era when the US Mint underwent various technological transitions and design changes. Many experts now believe there could be more such coins waiting to be discovered, but few if any will match the sheer complexity and improbable convergence of errors found in this single 2006p 5-cent coin, and whether you're a seasoned collector, a curious beginner, or just someone fascinated by the idea that a coin you hold every day might be worth millions, this story serves as a powerful reminder of the hidden value that can lie in the most ordinary-looking objects, and it inspires a deeper appreciation for the intricate and often flawed process of coin production, where even the most tightly controlled environments can produce miracles. And as we look ahead, we encourage all our viewers to stay curious, stay observant, and always take a second glance at the change you receive, because you never know when you might be holding history in your hands. just like the 2006p nickel that turned heads, broke records, and proved that one little coin could change everything.